Greetings viewers and welcome back. Red-Rupee here calling the shots for you tonight as always as we head into another great game of DropZone. Ohlee on the blue side, MyDiamond on the red, and if the leaderboard has anything to say about it, both of these players are pretty darn solid. So let's see who they're bringing on the field. Default Vice it looks like for Ohlee. MyDiamond bringing Knockout actually, but this time with landfalls for a little added mobility. Recons both with rocket clusters and stub guns, shielded actuators on one for defense, thrusters on the other for mobility, and then default widget and a new player, a new pilot rather, to the game, at least not that we've seen on this channel. Let's take a look at him. Warhead over here, who's actually a very cool tank. He has an AoE slow around him, I think 20 or 30% at all times. That's his passive ability, and his ultimate's very cool. Encase, which is a big AoE damage and root ability. So he's a really solid crowd control kind of guy. So far from Ohlee, I think we're going to see more or less the standard kind of play that we see from most players. Vice running around farming, recon for damage, and support coming in from widget with heals and a quick stun there. So MyDiamond's build is actually really interesting though. I always love double tanks myself, and he's running double tank gunner. And he has movement abilities on all three of his rigs. So he's got landfall for both tanks, he's got thrusters on recon. He has a lot of crowd control options from Warhead, who can get in there with landfall and slow and then root later. So I think Ohlee's going to have to be very careful where he chooses to engage, because if he overextends at all, MyDiamond's setup is very much ready to punish. And I think with First Blood being the 1 point objective so far, that could be in his favor from the get-go if Ohlee doesn't see it coming from the start. Additionally, for MyDiamond, all of his rigs, I think, completely unlock their upgrades and abilities at level 3. So normally we see sort of the deep dive into recon or a tank with knockout, but it looks like maybe MyDiamond's going to be opting to go for a more even spread. Both players getting their initial hives down, and oh man, at the uplink we can see Knockout putting on a lot of pressure on Widget already. Widget thought she was going to get that upload for free, but the first blood goes down. Always very difficult to deal with that Knockout early on if you're not seeing her coming. Unfortunately, there wasn't anyone here to punish her for having that shredder field up. If Recon had been around, that may have been a different story. But unfortunately, Widget was out there a bit early on her own, and already we're kind of seeing the potential that MyDiamond's build has. We already saw that Knockout in previous games has the real potential to run down almost any rig in the early game with that pressure flail and shredder field combination. Right now she's getting a little beat up by some nice micro from Recon, dropping the stub gun shots and of course those long range rockets into her. Oh man, she's even coming back out a little beat up, maybe looking for a quick kill, but decides against it for the time being. But all we saw so far was Knockout get in there, and imagine what could happen once Warhead combines his forces with Knockout, slowing, stunning, and rooting everything in sight. So definitely something to keep in mind. Warhead looking a bit dangerous, but I think he'll be fine. Recon and Knockout are out here for some support. Rocket Barrage goes down, but not quite enough to finish it off, and it looks like another quick kill for Knockout. 2 kills for her already, as Recon was deep in enemy territory, found himself against 2 opposing rigs, and looking a bit brutal already for Ohlee here. Both players are level 5. The first level 2 hive coming out here. Alpha Strike's on the field, so getting these first alphas, especially locking down these 2 middle alphas, can really put you in the head, or sorry, ahead in the race for those 4 points. And I don't know, it's a pretty tricky situation. Ohlee certainly isn't out of it yet, but things could be dicey if he's not careful. A couple quick uploads. It looks like MyDiamond isn't going to be in a position to contest. He's going to try to pick up these cores. Oh, Vice is sneaky, steals one of those cores away from that level 2 hive. Looks like MyDiamond did the work, and Ohlee is going to reap at least some of that reward for himself. Widget's still keeping those uploads. Nice drop and switch there with the core. Recon out here to contest the uplink though. Everyone's back on the field. It looks like Ohlee's Recon is level 4, so he has hit that kind of critical mass. He's very quick, very high damage output, so I think MyDiamond does need to be careful if he gets stranded out here against just that Recon in any sort of one-on-one engagement. So first alpha does go down on this southern contested hive for Ohlee. So both players getting one of those contested alphas. Still anyone's game, of course, in the Alpha Strike department. Knockout out here looking for some trouble, but she may have bit off a bit more than she can chew. decides to turn back. A big whiff there, unfortunately, for the positron condenser. Definitely have to lead your target a little bit with that one. Warhead's pretty well beat up. He does have landfall, so he can get out of there if he chooses, but the micro was not there. Now suddenly knockout out here with Shredder Field activated, so very little armor with that high damage recon. You can see she went down to about half health in the blink of an eye. Widget, I believe, already threw down her bubble, but it's almost on cooldown. I'm surprised we didn't see Recon come back in here, get a quick heal up, and could probably turn and choose to engage this lower level recon and knockout. We're definitely seeing the power of this deep dive versus the kind of spread that MyDiamond has at the moment. I think with all three rigs up, MyDiamond might have the advantage, but in a 2-on-3 or a 1-on-1 situation, Recon is still just going to be able to kite all over the place, unless he just stands there in the middle of a bunch of AoE damage. But fortunately for him, Knockout kind of decided to wimp out there. I don't know, it's dicey. I think it would have been neck and neck if she stayed in there to try to take him out. I'm not sure if that was the right choice or not. I guess when you're on potentially losing a rig, it's sometimes better to err on the side of caution. Warhead misses the route there and allows Recon to escape. All three rigs are up for both players after that little scuffle in the middle, and the cores are neck and neck 5-6 with only the 1-point objective off the map so far. So Total Vision Alpha Strike still going to anyone's side. Vi's in a little bit of trouble, but he's so tanky, he doesn't really care. He can take the abuse all day long. Of course, just as I say that, he gets rooted right in front of his own base, now getting body blocked all over the place, and down he goes next to 2 Shredder Fields. Lots of damage coming in from those tanks. Those tanks obviously completely exposed with 0 armor while that Shredder Field is active, but if it's both Shredder Fields and those tanks dropping AoE damage with landfalls on top of you, it's very difficult to deal with. Even in front of his own base, we saw Vice go down right there. Excellent body blocking and nice securing the victory there at the end of that engagement from MyDiamond. Looks like the score is about to even up here, though. The only difference, really, is that there's one more alpha on the field for MyDiamond. Neither player's really been farming their back-end hives too much. All things considered, I guess with 2 tanks, I feel like you should be able to farm a little better, but he's been using his knockout and his warhead much more aggressively than I feel like most players will use their Vice. You see, Vice, of course, can take this level 2 hive on his own, even at level 1 himself. So I guess with Warhead and Knockout, it's a bit trickier since they aren't quite as beefy as Vice tends to be. That said, a couple more alphas go down here for MyDiamond. 4-3 right now for that big 4-point objective. Considering how neck and neck the score has been so far, that alpha strike is probably going to be a large determiner of how the endgame plays out. Both tanks now moving in, and Recon just kind of hanging out in base there. Maybe a little bit of drop micro from MyDiamond for the time being. Widget came out to try to stun Knockout and stop that was kind of a waste of a stun, I feel like, at this point. He could use that right now to slow down Warhead's upload, but Recon's coming in on the flank, putting a lot of pressure on Knockout. Knockout, of course, has landfall. She doesn't mind. She just drops out. It looks like landfall does actually break the ammo of the final auto attack that was fired. If that ammo's in the air when landfall gets activated, it looks like it doesn't hit. I think that's actually how Knockout got out of her first perilous predicament against Recon. Root going down, but of course Root does not prevent the uplink from happening, so Recon was able to complete that uplink and then get the heck out of there. Shielded Actuators, of course, taking that initial shot from the ground pounder and allowing him to get on out. Stun in return, stopping Warhead from that upload, and Warhead's going to have to run on home if he has any hope of surviving. Let's see, he probably is going to have to use his landfall or risk going down here. Never mind, I spoke too soon. Recon switch targets and deciding to beat up Knockout now. Not looking for the kill, just looking to keep rigs away while Widget gets those uncontested uploads. Still another core in the center here, still level 2 hive and a level 3 on the back end, so slightly ahead right now. MyDiamond with that level 3 hive on the southern side of the map. That could matter a lot for the Alpha Strike race. You can see he's currently at 5 of 9 as opposed to 3 of 9 for Ohlee. And really, when Alpha Strike's on the field, I really stress trying to get into your opponent's territory a little bit. Go deep, steal one of those alphas, probably from the side that doesn't have a vision tower is the preferred way to go about doing that if you can't get one of the contested hives on the north or south of the uplink, but as it stands right now, it looks like MyDiamond is going to be pretty well ahead in securing that big 4-pointer. But it could still go either way. It looks like Ohlee is managing to get a little more farm in. A lot of chase going down. Wow, there's just landfall. These tanks are just leapfrogging each other all day long. It's the most dangerous game of leapfrog I've ever seen. When there's giant rigs jumping on your head like Mario on a Goomba, it's not going to be a good time for you. Recon just over here having a good time farming away while his medic unfortunately got taken out. But I think it's important for him to get this backline farm done, get those level 3 hives up, because you can see right now already MyDiamond on the southern side going in to get those last 2 alphas on the southern side, and then all he's going to need to do is take out this hive up here. That'll be the last 4 that he needs to lock out those 4 points. Those objectives are so crucial when you're playing these high-level games against other players amongst your own skill. Still no ultimates on the field. I would expect to see that Knockout's going to hit level 5 here first. I'm kind of surprised to see Recon just sitting at level 2, but he does have feedback resonators, velocity ramp. I guess the plan is to just get him to level 2 or 3. He does, oh no, I'm sorry, he's level 3, not level 2. I don't know what I'm talking about. Knockout's taking some hits over there, a bit unnecessarily. Warhead hanging out in the center, getting a 2-point lead finally, but there are plenty of cores still on the map for Ohlee to cash in. The main thing he has to be aware of, and I think if you're an experienced player, you start recognizing where your opponent's farm is, and he has to know that Alpha Strike's on the way. Warhead and Recon contesting the uplink here on their own against Widget and Vice. Stun going down, just stalling for time while his rigs get into position. Recon ran back to the far line there to pick up a 3rd core. All 3 core rigs of Ohlee having cores on them for the time being. Knockout over here dealing with the level 3 hive, but honestly, I don't think she can deal with that on her own, especially if she's not being microed to take out those alphas. She's taking a lot of abuse. Hopefully, MyDiamond doesn't lose that rig. It would be a crucial time to lose that in this race for Alpha Crusher. And honestly, the game with only 3 minutes remaining, oh my gosh, he even pulls her out while Warhead's looking for a little bit of trouble in Recon, but Recon's very easily going to be able to deal with him. I think even with that slow and root, Warhead isn't enough on his own to deal with the level 4 Recon. That level 3 really needs to be getting in there and getting shots in to kind of counteract that. So, oh my gosh, this race for Alpha Strike might actually be a bit closer than we expected, with Widget and Vice over here taking out the southern hive. Both the northern hives left for both players now, both sitting at level 3. It's going to be neck and neck if they both gun for that right now. I think that Ohlee really needs to prioritize that. He's fallen behind a few points, and actually Alpha Strike might be exactly what he needs to get the win back in his sails. Knockout screaming over there, landfalling in even, throwing down the AoE, but again, not focusing these alphas. There she goes. She moves in a bit too late, wastes a good deal of her AoE right there, and Recon and Knockout blasting away at these alphas. Oh my gosh, this is going to be neck and neck. Recon actually throws down his ultimate to try to farm fast. He knows it's down to the wire. Both players going down here. Oh my gosh, but I think that last, the rocket volley that we saw Recon fire over on the eastern side of the map was all it needed, and suddenly this game's looking very dire for Ohlee. With only 2 minutes left, he's going to have to take pretty much every core he's got. He's got 6 cores on the map over here. He could turn these in, maybe win a team fight, but I don't know. This is looking rough. It looks like MyDiamond is sitting pretty right now. When you've got this kind of lead, especially after locking down that big 4-point objective, oh yeah, exactly what he's going to do. He's going to go down, take his time, grab a boss, and kind of guarantee that he can win this team fight with that boss buff in the last stage of the game here. And with only a minute and 20 seconds left, I think there's just actually no time left for Ohlee to get back into this, but he's going to try anyways. He is bringing the cores to bear, has Recon farming them back while Widget uploads them time and time again. Unfortunately, Vice is on the far side here, trying to get one more core maybe onto the map, but it's a 3-2 battle right now with the boss buff in play as well, so Knockout throwing Widget right to the wolves there. And Widget, does activate her ultimate, but with 50 seconds left, I just don't know what's going to happen here. So much damage is on the field between all 3 of these rigs. 2 rigs go down for Ohlee, and that's going to be the game. just about definitely. Ohlee drops the well played right there as his last rig falls. Oh my gosh, those jumping, flying tanks. Hold on, I want to go back and just take a look at that's it right there. Just tanks dropping on your head and crushing rigs. There's bits of vice everywhere. That is brutal. Whew. Oh my goodness, that was quite a match to watch. The mobility of Knockout and Warhead was just really great right there. I mean, we saw them chase. This wasn't an uncommon sight right here, seeing one of Ohlee's rigs go down right in front of his base. Normally, that's the point where the rig escapes and manages to heal up, and you kind of shake your fist while you stand on their Vision Tower and just shrug as you head back to upload some cores. But those tanks were unrelenting, along with that root from Knockout in the slow. Oh, very, very solid play coming in from MyDiamond right there. I guess that's why he screamed up the leaderboard so quickly and so quickly and so rapidly. I can't talk. He came out of nowhere. He's on the leaderboard. Very solid player. Watch yourself if you encounter him on the ladder. Anyways, that's going to be just about it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the match. I know I did. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Send me your replays if you got them. This is Red Rupee. I'll catch you guys next time.